Hey everyone, welcome back to Open Source Friday. If you're not familiar with this stream, this is a stream that we do every Friday talking to open source maintainers or core contributors about their project. We went on a little bit of an unplanned hiatus for maybe like 3-4 weeks, but y'all could probably tell like the background that I have changed because I moved and I didn't have internet for forever. So I'm really glad to be back and just get a chance to chat with you all and with other maintainers. I really miss doing this. Feel free yay, Laura said she missed Open Source Fridays. Me too. Feel free to type in the chat where you're calling in from or where you're viewing in from. I love to see how expansive the developer community is. But it's not all about me. Today's guest is the maintainer of, I actually didn't double check the pronunciation. I'm assuming it's Zellij or Zellij, but our guest today will correct me. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. I'm Aram. I'm the creator and lead maintainer of Zelic. That's the pronunciation to the best of my knowledge. It's based off a Moroccan word. And as far as I asked native speakers, that's how to pronounce it, but hopefully I'm not making any mistakes. I am a full-time open source developer. I am full-time on Zelic. What else? Fun fact about me is that I'm also, in a past life, I was a professional Irish traditional music player.
That's cool.
Like jigs and reels and all of that. But I don't do that so much anymore, sadly enough. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to have you too. Wait, you said a lot of interesting stuff for me. Cause one, why name it Zellij? Or how did you come across this name? I don't know. I think, what does that mean? I'm curious.
Good question. Zellij is a type of mosaic, which was like the original code name of the project. And we sort of were developing it in the open before officially it being ready or publishing it anywhere. And when we wanted to publish it, then we found out that unfortunately the name Mosaic was taken up virtually everywhere. So we looked up a little bit and we found the name Zelic. And for those quick at looking it up, you'll see very beautiful images of tile work in mosques and things like that. And I found it very beautiful, and it also kind of served as a metaphor of what the project is, with all the different terminal windows and applications running inside. And I found it pretty cool. So that's the name.
I love that. That's a really great background of how you came up with that. And then someone had said, how do you spell that? So I put up the link to the GitHub right here. So if y'all wanted to check out the repo, you get the repo and the spelling. And then someone else also wondered the same, or was noting the same thing I did. They said like you were you did Irish music and then you went into open source maintaining. I know I'm kind of going off script, but the stuff that you just said was really interesting. It's like, how did you, were you always into development? Like, how did you go from like Irish music like to like open source?
So I was always a developer, like for my, or always, like for the past leg of my life. I was always a developer as like my main job. But I kind of like the Irish music was a creative thing I did on the side. At certain points, I kind of managed to like get some money from it and such, but it was never like kind of a full time thing. I didn't. Honest truth is I'm not good enough, but I always super enjoyed it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's always good to have something you like to do. You don't have to be the best
Mhm.
at it. Like, I think, it's always good to have
Yeah.
something on the side. Okay. So, just want to quickly say hi to some more people in the saying where calling in from. Someone's from Brazil. We have Learner0418. They tune in every single week. So happy to see them
Oh,
back.
nice.
People are from Texas and Copenhagen and Sri Lanka. Really love it. Love to see the diversity. Thank you so much for tuning in. For some people, for some reason people are talking about Guinness. I don't know. But cool.
That's the beer. Yeah.
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 Cool. Oh, someone's from Cabo Verde or Cape Verde. Cool. All right. So you gave us a background of like yourself. You talked about like how you came up with the name Zellij. I hope I said that right this time. What exactly is this project?
Cool. So I think I'll say like a few words about it, and then I'll jump into the demo. Um, Zellij is, I call it, a terminal workspace with batteries included. Um, it's a program that runs in your terminal and kind of manages your session. You can open multiple panes, multiple tabs. You can personalize your session with layouts to kind of like automate your day-to-day stuff, and there's lots more that you can do. Um, I created the project because I am a terminal developer. My like tool of choice as an editor is Vim. Um, and I was always, when I'm working in teams and such, like I saw my colleagues with their graphical editors, their VS Codes and IntelliJs and what have yous, and I was kind of envious about how quickly they can hit the ground running. While I'm always like, when I come to a new job, it's like, wait, I need a day to set up my workspace. So, and yeah, and then it was also like all of these tools. It's so for the terminal, like it's so hard to configure them just the way you want with all the dot files and everything, and then like transferring them between machines and also sharing stuff with other developers. It's kind of thing that like the large companies and such mostly, it seems to me, put a lot of attention into the graphical editors, but they kind of leave people like us like on the side, kind of fending for ourselves. So I wanted to fend for myself and for all the other people like me and create a tool that does not compromise power for simplicity, that I can also recommend to new developers, because up until now it was like a beginner developer comes, oh, how are you working, show me, I want to do that too, and I'm like, yeah, don't do what I do. So use something simpler. Really, don't do this to yourself. But like, I'm lost, don't go this way. But I don't think it should be this way. I think we should be able to share our love and our passion for our environments, and that's the project. um,
I
yeah.
love that. No, I love that. I'm actually really excited by different projects that are trying to make the terminal look better or like make it be easier, like Charm, Fig, your project, because you're right. Like the terminal kind of gets neglected. It kind of has looked the same way for years. And like with Visual Studio Code or like IntelliJ or whatever, we can just install a theme like with the click of a button, and then we got everything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I'm excited to
Exactly, for
see
sure.
your demo.
Cool. Oh, let's jump right in. So, um, let's see here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Nice. So this is the screen you get when you like open Zellij. You get your tab bar on top, and on the bottom we see here the status bar with a control plus and everything here. What this is what I mentioned about the simplicity of the project. A lot of similar projects, you kind of have to read cheat sheets and tutorials and what have you in order to like figure out how to use the project. With Zellij, the tool tells you how to use itself. If I want, I can press Control P here. The pane on the bottom lights up to show me, and like the line below it shows me like all the things that I can do. So if I want to open a new pane, I press N and I get a new pane. I can shortcut it to Alt-N, as the tip shows me below, and open several new panes. And Zellij will try to kind of arrange them in a way that makes sense.
Cool.
I can rearrange them. I can, of course, like make them bigger or smaller. Zellij also has, like, let's open something here, like HTOP, for example. So I open HTOP to like kind of, I want us to see which pane I am on. And then I can eject it with Control P, and then I press E, and then it's a floating pane. I can move the floating pane with a mouse. I can open more floating panes and like sort of arrange them. I can open tabs and yeah, lots of stuff. Zellij has stacked panes. So like I'll open some commands here. And then I can like kind of page between them. And Zellij has layouts. Like these are like configuration files that I can like pretty quickly write in order to describe how panes are look like on the screen. So if I open like, let's create a layout file here, I can do layout. This is, by the way, it's a configuration language called Cuddle that we use, like kind of similar to YAML or stuff like that. And I find it pretty useful for creating layouts because it's very readable. It has a hierarchical structure. Let's take an example. I create a layout with two panes. I just do layout and write the pane twice. And then I can do in a new window, new tab, -L, temp my layout. And there we have it. We see the two panes.
Cool.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I can have, like if this is horizontal, I can do split direction equals vertical and open two panes here. Let's put a command in one of them. And here, let's put like another command equal ls with args -L. And then I'll open the same layout. And yeah, we have here htop on the left, and on the right, we have the ls -L. We can, like the command exited. So we see its exit status below, like the exit code 0. I can press enter to rerun it. Like I guess we can hardly see it in the stream because ls is kind of fast. But every time I press enter, it reruns it. And yeah, and I can do all the stuff. I can pop it out to a floating pane. And yeah, lots more stuff that we can do. Zellij has plugins. I can like this is a plugin called Monocle. I'll make it a little bigger. It's a fuzzy find, so I can look for files.
Wow.
And then I have like this errors.rs file. I press enter, and it opens the file in a new pane in my default editor, Vim in my case. But yeah, it can even open it like outside the terminal in VS Code. Like it can, if you configure it, and you can like press enter, and it opens it in VS Code. It's like Zellij is a tool for us terminal developers, because that was kind of my need. But it's also for everyone. It's also for people who don't develop in the terminal. Anyone who uses the terminal, I think, can benefit from it.
No, I definitely think so too, because especially for a beginner developer, the terminal can be hard to navigate. They're like, what do you do? But I like how you have that ping at the bottom, or that little, I don't know what you call it, but it kind of tells you what you can do. Like, use this to search, or use it makes it so much easier. I see some people in the chat who are just saying good things. Laura said, I worked with Ramon until a few weeks ago, and I've seen Zellij before, but I haven't tried it yet. Maybe today's the day. And then someone said, looks like Tmux, but better. Someone said, beautiful. Someone said, the NeoVim community is going to love you. I think someone said, is a Fishel, because I think they've seen the acronym. I forget what was the acronym for that you made the word fish at the top of your terminal. Did you? Because I saw it too. It said, welcome to Fish. And then
that's Fishel.
Oh, okay.
That's Fishel. Yeah, Fishel is awesome. It's my favorite shell. Much recommended. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with it, so I thought it had to do with your project. Someone said nice and tidy, and I think you already kind of answered this. They said, "Can you give us a bit more about the motivation behind this, please, and perhaps a sales pitch as to why a dev might use this over VS Code, for example?"
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's a hard question for you. Maybe you can definitely answer it, but I'm like, this is not about like why you would use something over another. It's just like this is an option for you if you prefer the terminal. But I'll let you answer.
Yeah, for sure. I very much agree with what you say. I'm on the same side in general. I think use the tools you love, and if someone prefers VS Code, use VS Code. Personally, I cannot figure VS Code out. I don't know how to exit it, it doesn't make sense to me. There's too much going on, too many menus, moving with the mouse and such. It's if it's your thing, cool. But for sure. But as you say, you can use it in tandem. You can use the side. You can because in VS Code you have the terminal. Lots of people use Zellij inside the VS Code terminal. It gives you lots of capabilities aside from just an editor. And I think it's if this seems cool to you, if it's a thing you want to add to your workflow, give it a try. If you love it, keep on using it.
Yeah, we have someone here who I think is similar to you in that they said they've tried PyCharm, Sublime, VS Code, and Emacs. Nothing feels right. Always return to my terminal with Tmux and NeoVim. They're wondering, and this might be I don't know much about the terminal. I'm a VS Code girl. But they're wondering, are there sessions similar to the ones on Tmux? What does that have to do with you? I don't really understand what they mean by
yeah, for sure. So I'll give a little bit of an introduction about Tmux session, so we're all kind of on the same page, and then I'll answer the question. If Dario will forgive me for explaining the question. Basically, Tmux has sessions. Tmux, by the way, is also a terminal multiplexer, similar to Zellij. Anyway, so Tmux has kind of sessions where you can start the program inside your terminal, and then you can detach from the session, which brings you back to your terminal, and you can open a new session, call it something differently for context switches and stuff like that. Zellij, of course, also has this feature. But as opposed to Tmux, Zellij also has multiplayer sessions. This means that if, for example, you open Zellij on a server, like say you're on a production server and you're like troubleshooting a problem and trying to find out, and then you want like you're stuck and you're super stressed and everything is down and you need help, so you like call a friend. Oh my God, everything is not working. Please come help me. And then they connect to the same server. They attach to your session, and both of you are at the session at the same time. And the cool thing that Zellij gives you is that each one kind of gets a cursor with a different color, like kind of the Google Docs experience. And you can collaborate and work together and move to the same pane and do stuff. And so that's like kind of a long answer to say yes.
No, and that was a great way to say it. It sounds like the live share extension in VS Code, where like you're in VS Code and someone's typing and it says their name, like Brizelle's typing, Aram's typing. Okay, that's so cool.
Yeah.
This is another thing that I'm not even familiar with. Does it support true color?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, like terminals have this thing where like the classic terminals are like 8-bit, 256 colors. And then there are terminals who support true color. All the like late news from the 90s. So Zellij, of course, supports true color. It supports it out of the box. You don't need to configure it. It just works.
Okay, that's great. People are excited. They have a lot of good questions. Someone said, well, it worked well with other shells. It looked like you said fish was a shell that it was working well with. So I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Yeah, for sure. Bring your own shell. Do your own thing, for sure.
Okay. And then wow, y'all have some expansive knowledge. What do you code in Zelic? I don't even know what. Are you familiar with that?
I guess maybe Samuel means Zellij.
Oh, gotcha. I thought it was a different language I wasn't familiar with.
Maybe it's something I'm not familiar with, but yes, I do all my coding. I do all my coding in Zellij. It was like very important to me to do this out of the box. While I don't like the term dog fooding, I very much believe in it. Because dog fooding is like kind of eating your own dog food. It's like kind of disgusting, but I very much believe in it. I used Zellij like from the day it stopped exploding, and yeah.
That's great. No, I just highlighted this one because I saw someone type the word Zellij, just so people can know the spelling really quickly. And then let's see, another question, or someone just pointed out, I guess they said use the Vim plugin for VS Code. That's also kind of cool. Someone said awesome terminal that I'm definitely going to check out. Is it just me or does anyone else see Cypher from? Okay. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Cool. I think a lot of this is I just don't have a lot of terminal knowledge, so I'm like I'm not really super sure what these mean.
Yeah.
But someone said I tried using Zellij, but was having a bit of trouble reconfiguring key binding to work with NeoVim.
Yeah, that's a hard problem. So again, give a bit of a background because this is like a very Zellij problem. So Zellij, as we saw in the like in the demo, like kind of has all these keys that you can press to like Control P to do this and Control O to do this. And as Grim Reaper mentions, if we are opening NeoVim inside Zellij, then NeoVim needs all of these key bindings too. And then you kind of want to do Control O in NeoVim to do what Control O does in NeoVim, but like Zellij interferes and like hijacks the Control O. And you're like, no, I don't want this. So we have a few ways around this. I'll start by saying that this is like this is our Achilles heel. It's one of the biggest problems of Zellij that I'm spending a lot of time trying to like kind of solve because it needs like kind of a creative solution. what you can do is Zellij has a lock mode. So if you press Control G inside Zellij, then the interface is locked, and then whatever you type in in Zellij, well, shortcuts, whatever, it goes inside the terminal. But this is kind of like, it's an okay solution, but it's not fun to always have to press Control G to do this. Oh no, I'm in lock mode. I have to go back. You can, of course, reconfigure the key bindings, which is go to the configuration file and kind of change the way they are. But as I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the stream, I don't want people to have to do that. I want it to just work. So in the next version, we're going to try a solution for this, which is like kind of, it's something that I kind of called super mode. It's very experimental. It lets you it only takes up one global key binding, like Tmux, for example, and still allows you all the nice configuration stuff, or all the nice shortcuts and everything, and tries to minimize the amount of keys you have to press in order to do everything. But this is like not released yet and still experimental. Until then, it's either lock the interface at runtime or reconfigure the key bindings to your liking.
It looked like Grim Reaper seemed pretty excited about that. They said, "Oh, I didn't know about lock mode. I will try that." And they said, I think a simpler solution would be to have a toggle where people can use Tmux key bindings. But again, it's not like one shoe fits all. Also, y'all, if you are on this, if you're watching this, and I don't know if I'm too bold to say, but like, you're watching this, you have the skills to contribute to help make this better. Here's the repository. Feel free to help contribute, because maintainers, they have to do a lot of different things. So like, I'm sure you're managing a lot. So if they have other options, that sounds good. Laura says, has anyone from the Zelic community made a explain it to me like I'm 5 level getting started with Zelic by any chance?
Yes, I did. You can go to the Zelic Dev website. It has a section called Screencasts and Tutorials. And the first one is basic usage, where I just walk you through, like, you open Zelic for the first time. What do you do? What can you do? How you do it? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to highlight it. I imagine Laura might have, I don't want to put you out there too much, Laura, but I know Laura's really good with like technical writing and stuff. So maybe she's interested in like contributing in some way. Okay,
Awesome.
So I will save some of the other questions in the chat for a little bit later. But I do want to pivot into some of the questions that I had planned to ask. So we got a chance to see about Zelic and how to use it and get excited. But I kind of want to ask a bit about like your experience in open source, especially since this is GitHub, and we want to learn more about how to support you and how to encourage people to get into open source. So my first question to you is, as a maintainer, what challenges have you encountered? I like to always talk about like the exciting things, but I also like to let people know like what is the real deal of being a maintainer that could be a challenge.
Yeah. It's a good question, and I've been thinking about it like a bit to try and see like where to tackle it, in which direction. And I think there are two main directions for me. The first one is project management, and the second one is funding, sponsorships, being able to go to the supermarket, basically. I'll start with the first one. Managing like a popular open source project is hard. Not from the technological level. There are challenges there, but for me, they are very much secondary. It's like basically keeping up. Right now, the project has over 500 open issues. I think over almost 50 pull requests. These are just things that are open, and I'm like, I recently resigned myself to like, I am never going to get to some of these. Some of these will just not get a response, and it breaks my heart. I came into this into the open source world many years ago with big ideals, and yeah, everyone can like collaborate and work together, and people who don't know each other can make something awesome. And yeah, but I just don't. I'm one person. I do not have the capacity. And bringing other people on board is not so trivial, and more often than not, it doesn't work. And that's like the sad truth of the management. I recently had a chance to speak to other like maintainers and like ask them this question, like, what do you do? And they basically said, yeah, you don't. That's how it is. Like, so yeah, that's kind of the dark truth of open source, I guess.
No, that is. Oh, sorry to have cut you off,
Yeah.
but that is totally like something that I
Yeah.
hear maintainers talk about all the time. Because it's like you're an engineering manager slash CEO slash product manager for and just engineer for a particular product, and it's not for a ton of money. Sometimes it's for mostly free, and you get a lot of demand, and then like you still have your own life to live besides just coding all day. Like you probably want to hang out with your family or do stuff that you want to play Irish music or whatever. I did I did want to highlight that we have a, I don't know if you've ever joined this, but we have a private community called maintainers, the maintainers community at GitHub, and every May we have like a summit, and like that's when people come together and talk about the different ways that they help to manage burnout or strategies that they've been using for project management and stuff. So if you wanted to join, or anybody else listening and they're a maintainer, just putting it out there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I cut you off because you were going to talk about being able to buy groceries and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. The funding side, it's like, I like. I'll start by saying that I don't know how many users Zelic has. I have like a general idea, but I don't collect telemetry because I don't believe in that. And yeah, so I don't know, but I do know there's a lot of users. And while many of the community are very generous and sponsor me on GitHub sponsors and such, it is like at the moment it's not enough for me to make a living where I live. So I'm kind of living on my savings because like I very much believe in this project, and I think it's very useful to many people and can be very useful to many more people. And yeah, so I'm kind of looking into avenues of getting funding for this, or helping helping members of the community like have the realization that, hey, this thing that is super useful to you and you use every day, like you get it for free, so maybe you want to like tip the developer. And yeah, and that's also a challenge. Because I don't have training for this, I'm kind of doing my best, and we're so nice. So for now, I never thought I'd reach this far, but yeah. So that's definitely a challenge. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this for? Like being a full-time open source maintainer?
I guess about 3 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like people in the including me, they're definitely empathizing. Someone said sorry to hear about the funding situation, and then someone said, "Wow, that is so cool. Funding is always a problem over time." And then someone else, or Grim Reaper, is also talking about the struggle of project management. They said people trying to get into project manager should try this because it'll be a very impressive thing to talk about. I agree. I honestly think my past manager, he has an open source project, and what he did is he had like a triage team. So I do think like onboarding is still hard, but for some people who they want to contribute, but they're not really like developers, or they're maybe scared to contribute code, he had them get familiar by helping him to like maybe like triage tickets, or do the other sorts of project management that he doesn't have bandwidth for. And then in turn they get that experience of being like, I did project management for this particular project, and then helps them to eventually get a job. But yeah, on the finance side, funding and sustainability for open source is such a hard problem. Like GitHub is trying by doing GitHub sponsors, and I think we had the GitHub accelerator where we gave I want to say the number of participants was 20 open source projects, 20K for like a few months or something like that, so that they can like get started and going into open source full time. But it is a hard problem. It's really hard. And then what I never really like is that large companies and people that actually have a ton of money, they're the ones using these open source projects, and they're the ones building off of these open source projects and making a ton of money off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that GitHub is doing this. By the way, I think it's great because yeah, we're developing on the GitHub platform. We're like we are, like the old cliche goes, we are the product of GitHub essentially. And I think it's really awesome that GitHub is giving back. It's really cool that like the company is aware of it. And yeah, I also like what you said about project management. It's definitely hard, and definitely managing an open source project, like for sure. Also, not just project management, also the social part. We have for Zelic, we have a community manager. Everyone thinks I'm doing the Zelic social stuff, but I'm not. We have a dedicated community manager who just does that, and does an amazing job. And we have a lot of people giving support in our Discord and our Matrix. People like come ask questions. I don't have time to answer everything, but a lot of users are helping each other. Like that's always heartening for me to see. Like see like someone came with a question in the night, and I wake up in the morning and already three people answered them and gave like great answers. And yeah. I also want to highlight, in case it wasn't clear, there is a team of maintainers for Zellij. Like I'm the lead maintainer, but there are other maintainers. Like many of them are inactive because like life happens, but a lot of them like are still active and still contribute and do like hard work that's very valuable. So it's not as if I'm totally alone.
Yeah, shout out to your team. Shout out to your flourishing community. And thanks for being real about the challenges that maintainers experience. Because these are stuff that, like, everyone's like, get into open source, be a maintainer. But they don't tell you that it's a lot of, like, I'm an introvert. So, like, after I talk to someone, I'm like, that's it. Like, I don't need to be, like, talking back and forth all day. Laura made a comment, and she said, I used to be a professor, so I'm biased. But when I feel like holding office hours when folks can come in and learn how to best contribute is a great way to get folks up and running. Takes more than zero time, though, of course.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
A good point to kind of have like the development or like the onboarding like at a specific time, so a lot of people they can like come and learn together. I try to do that when people, a lot of people, when they want to contribute, they ask me privately on Discord. They like message me and say, hey, like I don't get what this function does, or yeah. I always like the first thing I say is, are you comfortable talking about this publicly on the development channel? So other people can learn from it too. And most people are totally open and are cool doing it. So yeah, I'm totally up to that.
Also, someone mentioned that your documentation is so good, so it's easy to answer most people's questions.
Zaikino, I hope I'm pronouncing the handle right, is like one of the most active people giving support on Discord. So shout out to you. You're doing an awesome job.
Yes, shout out to Zaikino. Thank you. That's so great. All right, so let's switch into what's the rewarding part about maintaining a project. I think you even mentioned like having people like Zaikino has been rewarding. Anything else?
It's really cool to always hear people like expressing their love for the project. because I am doing this like not just for myself, but for the wider community of people like me and any terminal user, really. So when someone says, "Hey, thank you for Zellij, it's awesome. I use it daily," and yeah, that's like it's really heartening. So that's definitely a rewarding part. Um, Seeing it randomly at places like in screencasts and yeah, sometimes like people like in totally unrelated places, like a random subreddit or something. Someone will show a screenshot of like their question about something in the terminal, and I'll see Zellij, and I'm like, ah, awesome. Uh, yeah, and it's great, like because we're or at least I am here to give value to people. So seeing like people get that value is pretty awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's some people in the comments, someone said, I'm excited to see another terminal emulator, especially after reading your blog post. And someone else asked a pretty interesting question, in my opinion. They said, how do you prioritize features and functionalities that are to be worked on? Do you feel there are clashes between what the community wants versus what you think is best for the project? And how often does this happen?
That's actually a very good question.
Yeah.
So Zelic has a roadmap because Zelic is still considered, I still classify it as a beta. We're pre 1.0. Product is pretty stable. A lot of people use it day to day, but the development, I worked for the past, like most of my career, I say I worked at startups. So it was always develop this fast, break things, and put it to market. So that's kind of my same philosophy with Zellij right now, the stage the project is, because I feel that it's not complete yet. It's like we're still adding features and turning the project because I think the place we are right now is like really just starting to climb out of the infrastructure level. We recently released a plugin system so that people can like develop their own plugins for Zellij. And they can use like theoretically they can use any language to write plugins because it compiles WebAssembly. And I think we're just starting to discover what this project is as like an infrastructure for development, because I don't think there's anything, to my knowledge, I don't think there's anything quite like it out there. And so this like kind of brings me back to the question of how to prioritize stuff and if there are clashes between priorities and what the community wants. So yes, there are clashes, a lot of them. The community wants like small fixes and things like when I move focus of this pane off screen, I want it to go to the other side of the screen and things like that. And I'm often like, this is cool, this is important, this is like super great. I don't have time to develop that, and I don't have time to review a pull request of that being developed because I need to concentrate on the roadmap. Since I'm living on my savings and my time is like kind of limited because I don't know if this project will become sustainable, even though that is my goal, I really have to be very cognizant about only developing stuff that's in the roadmap, unless it's like critical security stuff or crashes or like very critical stability things. So there's often a clash. Every now and then I'll take something that is needed by many users and is very like very requested and developed it. But most of the time, I'm thinking the users we have now, the hardcore like die-hard Zellij users that are the awesome community that we have, I think they are like a small percentage of the larger users, and they want to like bring more people in by making the project bigger. And so that's most of what I'm concentrating on. And to the community's credit, most of them are super understanding, and a lot of them help out. And yeah, so yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I think it answered it very well. And I hope this stream helps to bring in some more users and contributors. Y'all go ahead and give the project a star. Also, I really liked your strategy of having the plugins that users can create themselves. Because I think that's kind of what GitHub did with GitHub Actions. From what I'm told, I wasn't working here when this happened, but from what I told, we're getting a lot of requests. Oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. It's like, here's the GitHub Marketplace. Make your GitHub app, make your GitHub Actions, do what you want. You want your repository to be able to do this and that. Like, here, you can do it. So that was a really good option.
Cool. I didn't realize that about GitHub Actions, and I'm definitely a user of GitHub Actions. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Yeah. I love GitHub Actions. That's what got me excited about GitHub. So I do see a comment, and this is one I'm going to address because I keep seeing this person like pop in and say questions like this. They're asking, is this a promotional presentation of his own product? So, little background about this stream, right? This is called Open Source Friday. Every Friday, I talk to an open source maintainer about their project. This has many reasons, right? One, to help people get a better understanding of how to get into open source. Two, to help them like discover and explore other open source tools that they can be using. And then three, to help open source maintainers gain more exposure of their products. It is an open source tool, yes, and I want we as GitHub, right? Open source maintainers are using our platform, and we want to be able to like support and give back. So this is kind of a way of being like, hey, we want to connect, we want to learn what are the struggles you're having and how we can help make it better. And then we also want people to be able to discover their projects. So that's the whole point of this. I'm a developer advocate. My job is to be able to connect with our users, which are developers and open source maintainers, and that's how I'm doing it. Hopefully that answers the many questions I've seen you have. All right.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So because I think, look, I can very much empathize with the feeling of, oh, I don't like, I don't know, maybe that's not what this person was saying, but I kind of got the feeling that, oh, I don't like when someone is selling me something. And I can totally empathize with that. I also don't like it when people sell me stuff. I'm also like, no, don't tell me about your thing, go away. And like not really, but I can understand that feeling, because like as developers, this is like part of the stack that not only are we usually not aware of, but we usually kind of like, to be honest, look down upon, about all the marketing and outreach and social media and all of that thing. But it's such an important part of the stack, because like it or not, the world we live in, this is how people find out about stuff. Like the stuff that you use, all the stuff that is in your house, mostly, I guess, it's things that someone marketed in a way and kind of reached you in a way. Even if a friend told you about it, then like that's also kind of a strategy to get to the market. And I think it can be done in a respectful way, in a a compassionate way, in a, hey, I want to tell you about this cool thing way, and not, oh, but you must use it and I'm trying to control your mind in order to, it doesn't have to be that way. And it's just something that's I think super important to do, and in my opinion, very hard. So yeah, just wanted to mention.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that you pointed that out. Someone said marketing and social networking is not bad. Yes, I agree with that. And I actually often talk about this in the way that you can attract contributors to your project authentically is just, something like this, like going on a stream and being like, here's what I'm working on, or tweeting about it or something like that, just so people, not just so people can help come discover you, but they learn to discover your projects and what you're doing and who you are through that. I think sometimes as software engineers, we tend to be like, okay, if my project is good, someone will find it. But people will not find things if you never say that you're working on something.
True.
So you're,
True.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, so true.
But I really love the way that you addressed that. Thank you so much. My other question to you is, because we're nearing the end, and I've seen a couple of good questions in here too. Wait, hold on. I want to make sure I don't skip those. These are actually really interesting. It's not necessarily about Zellij, but Oh, there's one about Zellij that I'm actually curious about, and then I'll switch to the other one. They're wondering if there's any like plans to monetize this. I know that sometimes people go open core. If you have you gone open
Hmm.
core, or are you like no?
So uh, it is a question that I'm thinking about for sure. I have many avenues to think about this, but like what um, the main thing I don't want to do is to alienate the community. I don't want to start definitely showing ads or anything like that. I hate ads. I will never show ads. Um, and yeah, and I also don't want to show ads for ourselves to like say, hey, click here and pay $1 to get yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but if anything, something like this will like kind of happen from the outside. Like for example, I mentioned that Zellij has the session sharing, where you can have the Google Docs experience with the different cursors and such. Setting up something like this without your own dedicated server is not trivial. You have like NAT hole punching and all of that thing, and DNS and all of that. This might be something that we end up selling as a service.
Yeah.
Like you can do this on your own, it's okay. Or like if you want, you can pay whatever $5 a month and have a dedicated server where you can give people your URL and they'll connect to your session, and you can have like access management and whatever and stuff like that. It's in reality, I don't think I will ever have a time to do this, but like this is a general thought in my head. Things in that direction. The app itself will always be free. Things inside the app will always be free. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. This is a good conversation in my opinion. Like things
Mhm.
that people challenges that people have, but it's like how do I approach this without being annoying and being like, please buy this. It looks like two people are really curious in what open source technologies or projects that you're excited about, in the open source world that you find exciting or promising. Um, I think that's
Uh,
interesting. And you can have time.
okay. Cool. So I already gave a shout out to the Fishel, and I'm going to do it again because Fish is awesome and also open source, of course. Use Fish. Like really, it reads your mind and like gives you completions on the CLI. It's like it's amazing. Like all of the I'm personally not a fan of all the AI stuff. So like this was there before, and in my opinion, it does it better without like without all of all of the AI things. Like so, like it just you start typing a command. The more you do it, the more it learns your habits, and yeah. So use Fish. Um, Otherwise, I'm going to give a shout out to this is actually a commercial company doing open source stuff. You mentioned them briefly at the beginning. This is Charm CLI. Charm are good and awesome people, and they're creating amazing stuff. They're super creative, making great things. And I'm like, every time they come out with a new product or release, I'm like, oh my God, I did not know I needed that. So I very much follow them and are excited about their things.
Okay, I'll have to try out Fish because you made me really excited. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it was like something like that. And I love Charm, like from everything, just even the naming of the products. They're like, this
Right,
one's bubble gum, this one's lipstick. I'm like, this is so cute.
right.
I love it. Okay, so we are at the 52-minute mark, and I think I'll move into some of the like non-technical, non-open source questions, just some fun questions that I usually ask to just get to know you better and just for fun. So my first question is, what is the first programming language that you ever learned?
I started out in operations. Back then, we were called sysadmins because like no one made up the word DevOps anymore yet. And the language I used back then is Perl.
Cool. Yeah, I think I tried out. I was a help desk technician before, and I tried out Perl a little bit, but I wasn't that good then. But that's cool. Okay, if money wasn't an issue, how would you ideally spend your time, job wise or not job wise? Like I would spend it on the beach.
I'm in Austria. We have no beaches, but I would do what I'm doing now, only with more safety, with knowing that I don't need to worry about sustainability. That I can just like look ahead and make Zellij awesome.
Gotcha. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. um, okay, this is another question that could be a hard question, but I started asking it after one of our guests came on. He said his name is Simon Willison. And like, what did you learn today? It could be something small like how to cook eggs or something. But did you learn anything interesting today or new?
Um, does it count if like I relearn something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I basically relearned that like when you're developing a feature and you're like deep inside the coding and such, and you like get it to work, like get a small part of it to work. And they're like super excited, and this took me hours, and I had to like hack through all the code base and do everything. And yeah. My inclination in such a situation is to like git commit and then like continue writing the feature and then like write tests and refactor and yeah, don't do that. Like git commit, write a test for what you already developed, and then continue developing because it's just much faster. And I relearn this every time. I have to remind myself every time, and today was one of those times again.
I love it. No, that's a good reminder to all of us.
Uh,
Okay, my other question, this is like, just a fun question. How do you say the word GIF? Do you say GIF or GIF?
I'm on Team GIF.
Your team GIF? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
team GIF, but people usually say, you said it wrong. And I'm like, okay. And then last question, and I think we talked about this. What's your favorite Beyonce song? And if no Beyonce song, any fave song or song that you've been listening to recently?
Um, so yeah, about Beyonce, I'll like shamefully admit that I don't think I ever heard a Beyonce song. I'm not like this is my thing. I'm not good with popular culture.
Yeah.
Uh, so favorite song. I've recently been listening again to Leonard Cohen. So yeah, Leonard Cohen's Last Year's Man.
Okay. Does he sing the song Hallelujah?
Yeah, he
That
wrote
might be
it.
the only Leonard Cohen song I know. That's so
Yeah.
our music taste might be on the opposite spectrum. Like next week, I'm going to a Beyonce concert, and then I was like, Leonard Cohen.
Nice.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we are nearing the very end, but I wanted to know. Oh wait, so first I'll just tell a couple people something. Someone said, "How can we get a recorded version of this?" This is going to live on YouTube in the live section. Like as soon as I press end stream, it will still be there. So if you wanted to go back and rewatch it, you can. And we have a ton of other like similar sessions where I talk to other open source maintainers. If you wanted to check them out as well, there's a lot of cool people doing cool things out in the open source world. So definitely check that out. And then someone also just was commenting that they know a lot of SRE and DevOps teams in many companies who would love the session sharing features with Zellij. And I agree. I agree. It's very hard to be like, hey, I'm struggling here in my terminal and people can't see. Is there anything you want people to know or check out before we end the stream? Like go to your
Uh,
repository or something. I don't know.
yeah, go to the repository, give a star, come on our like Discord, chat with us. Use Zellij. That's the best thing. The best contribution people can do is become a Zellij user. And like tell us what you think, what cool ideas you have. Develop plugins. It's a new thing that we're doing. Share your plugins with us. We publish them in our like in our docs. We put all the cool plugins there. So like looking forward to see more.
Yay, I love it. Yes,
Yeah,
I do think being a user is a very underrated contribution
for
that
sure.
people do more. Awesome. I want to
Yeah.
say thank you to you for tuning in. or not tuning in, but for sharing your knowledge and coming to speak with us and just telling us the real deal. You know, sometimes people, they will pretend and be like, oh no challenges, but there are definitely challenges in open source. And I really appreciate you for sharing all those and kind of giving us tips around like being authentic and respectful in showing what you're working on, and just also bringing this awesome project to the world. Like, this is something that's needed, and I'm really glad that you created it. I also want to say thanks to the audience. Y'all asked some really interesting questions. You continue to be engaged, and that always motivates me to come back and keep doing more Open Source Fridays.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, just to end that, even though all the challenges and everything, it's still worth it, and I will still not do anything else.
Yeah, you did say that job wise that would be your thing. All right, bye everyone, have a great week and see you next Friday.